Takahiro woke up, and his head is pounding. He can feel it in his ears. He's slouched over the bathtub, his head resting on his arm, and he's thinking, maybe I drank too much last night. That would explain why he's in the restroom. But then there's this unpleasant smell. I mean, he's a 27-year-old bachelor. Maybe he left some food out. Maybe he forgot to flush the toilet. That wouldn't be the first time. But all he remembers is that he got home really late last night. He ate something that upset his stomach a little bit. Some spaghetti and steamed chicken that probably went bad. And the next thing he knew, he's knocked out. When Takahiro falls asleep, he sleeps hard. It's like an explosion could occur and he wouldn't even wake up. Complete blackout. He doesn't even remember when he fell asleep, but he had been woken up by the smell. In Tokyo, the apartments are tiny, so any small thing can stench up the entire place. His apartment was only 150 square feet, so it's like New York City tiny boxes, probably a little smaller. This was not the smell of vomit that he's sniffing, which would make more sense. Probably it was so much worse than vomit, and it was everywhere. It's like rotting meat mixed with rotting bananas. He's focusing his eyes on what's in front of him in the bathtub. Floating in a pool of cold, reddish water are body pieces that have been cut up. There is a head with long, tangled hair that's completely severed off and is laying there in a bucket of kitty litter. The arms are cut off from the body. The hands are cut off from the arms. Blood is spilling out of the bathtub onto the walls, onto the tiled floors. It's seeping into the grout. Blood organs. They're all sectioned off into different groups, like someone was prepping a dinner. They prep different ingredients. They're sectioned off and they're just kind of floating in different sections of the bathtub. If Takahiro wasn't awake earlier, he definitely was awake now. There was no way that he could just leave this sitting in his bathroom. The neighbors are going to get suspicious. They're going to smell it. The smell is eye-watering. He starts panicking, hyperventilating from the scent. Takahiro goes into fight-or-flight mode. I mean, he has no doubt that if he calls the police, he's going to be suspect number one, because there's dismembered body parts in his own apartment bathroom. Who else is going to be the suspect? How is he going to explain this away? And he absolutely, ably could not report this. He was already on probation. One little mess up and he would be thrown in prison for a very, very long time. His eyes are watering, and Takahiro desperately just wants to go back to sleep. But instead, he grabs his rain jacket, puts on a mask, snaps on a pair of goggles. How is he going to dispose of his little friend? Or the 8 other severed heads in his living room? 30 forensic experts were crammed into a tiny 150-foot apartment in Tokyo. Back to back, rubbing shoulders. Everything has to be done carefully and meticulously. They had never seen anything like this before. "Check the box over there," one of the forensic specialists says. He walks over and opens the lid of a storage box next to the couch. It's filled with cat litter. They start using their brush to scrape away some of the cat litter, and a few inches down they find one. They see a forehead. They brush away more cat litter and a severed head is staring up at them. This was the 9th one. The experts went through all the boxes stacked neatly on just one side of this lofted studio apartment, and each time they opened a box they found more evidence. The evidence was logged and listed as Box 1, 2 heads discolored, pale green with protruding eyeballs, both eyes open and cloudy. Box 2, 2 heads, one leathery and slightly brown on some parts and greenish-yellow on other parts. The other head reddish-brown with closed eyelids. Box 3. 6 human bones and 8 pieces of meat that appear to be internal organs. Box 4. 31 human bones, one head has dried and turned brown. Eyes could not be identified. Box 5. 77 pieces of human remains. Box 6. 32 pieces of human remains, 3 heads, one with tape on the lip area. Box 7. Human bones, one head brown in color, in the process of drying and covered with adhesive tape. The bones were stacked into the boxes neatly like a game of Tetris. In total, the police found 9 severed heads in a 27-year-old's Tokyo apartment. Did you test the blender? Yes, positive for blood. 2 months before this, Allison was given very clear instructions and she was all in. It was the middle of summer in 2017, and to her this was going to be a very pivotal moment. She's got everything that she needs, or rather, she's got everything that she needs to get rid of. She is about to make an irreversible, life-changing choice, and she's feeling doi-doi. That term means extremely nervous, but it has 2 connotations. You can use it in a negative way, like when you get called into the principal's office and you feel kind of nervous because you don't know what's going to happen. Or you can use it in a positive light because you're waiting for your crush to text you back. Allison is feeling both of those things. She's feeling doi-doi in every way. She put in her notice at work. She worked at an office job that she really didn't care much for, so she just sent in an email. Today's going to be my last day. Once that was done, she shut her laptop, pulled out a blank sheet of paper, and wrote a note for her family. This was probably the hardest part, but the instructions were very clear. This step was so important. She was supposed to tell her family, "Do not by any means come looking for me because I don't want to be found." Allison's hand is shaking as she's writing it, and she's holding back the tears, trying not to get emotional. She decides maybe the shorter the better. I want to live alone, so I'm running away from home. She folds up the note and leaves it on her desk. This is where her mom is going to find it, and she keeps talking herself into it. This is the thing that makes the most sense. This is what I need to do, right? She thought. And now it's almost complete. She's walking around on a sunny afternoon in Tokyo, waiting for the next instruction. She's scrolling on her phone, passing the time with all these funny, cute little animal videos. And she's checking her friend's group chat. She catches herself smiling at the group chat until she realizes, I will never be able to respond to them ever again. For a second, she questions herself. Am I really doing this right now? If I do this, there's no turning back. Am I sure that this is what I want? Of course she is. And plus, she's not alone. The person giving her all these instructions has done this so many times in the past, and they know what they're doing. And Allison gives him her full trust. She gets another message on her phone. Meet me at the train station. Before you do, throw your phone into the ocean. She's already near the train station. She's not going to leave and go to the ocean to throw her phone away. That would be extreme. So she walks into the train station, looks around, spots a restroom, and she's thinking, I'm just going to hide my phone in here. She pushes in the door and stares at herself in the mirror, thinking, yeah, this makes sense. The ocean is too permanent. If I leave my phone in here, at least it's convenient as a backup plan if I have to come back and get it. Allison hides her phone in one of the stalls just in case, thinking, eventually, somebody would come back for that phone. It just would not be Allison. Takahiro wakes up in the restroom with the body in the tub. He had fallen asleep and his muscles are aching and he just feels purely exhausted. His mind is clearing up. And all the memories of last night are just coming flooding back. He runs out of the bathroom. He sees a purse laying on the ground. He snatches it up, and in it is an ID. Allison, 21 years old. He remembered. Of course he did. How could he forget? He killed Allison, and he remembered every last joyous second of it all. He had contemplated for 5 whole days on whether or not he wanted to kill Allison. Ultimately, he didn't want to, but it was necessary. Rossi was on Twitter with Eero, was on Twitter with the sole purpose of finding someone that he could scam out of money. He thought about the typical ways to scam. Pretend to have some sort of business that someone can invest in, or another opportunity. But all of that seemed like so much work. You had to forge papers. You had to create a company logo. So the plan was, you know what? I'm just going to find a vulnerable population of women, scam them out of their money by pretending to be interested in them, pretending to be their boyfriend. Takahiro went online specifically looking for girls with Twitter accounts where they expressed very deep negative emotions, dark thoughts about wanting to exit. He meets Allison, and he starts messaging her on Twitter. And he pretends to be this great listening ear that just wants to help. I feel like I can relate to your feelings. I went through the same things as you, he says. But in reality, he thought this was his ticket out. Get her to believe that he was interested in her, then ask her for her money. He had an obsession of wanting to move into his own place. He was so sick of living with his parents. He wanted his own studio apartment with a loft. It had to have a loft, apparently. He convinces her to let him borrow $4,500, which he would use as proof of funds to get the apartment lease for his loft studio. Which, side note, the loft that he got wasn't even that luxurious. He didn't want the loft because it made him feel like he's living the life. The place was actually quite small, 150 square feet. You walk in. On the left is the door to the bathroom. You walk a few steps further. That's the studio. It's like a studio apartment unit. There's a tiny kitchenette, maybe the size of a bathroom sink, a mini fridge, and a singular stovetop, that's it. Then, next to the kitchen is the ladder up the loft, which does make the place feel a little bit bigger, but it's still really small. But to him, this loft was perfect. Room 205 was going to be his. Are you sure you don't want to just wait a few more weeks? The realtor is staring at Takahiro like he's lost his freaking mind. Are you sure you're understanding what I'm telling you right now? We've got a 1-month free rent promotion going on. You would get the most bang for your buck if you waited until the beginning of the next month to sign the contract. Because if you move in now, you only get a week off of rent instead of the entire month off. So just wait 3 weeks and then you could have a full month of free rent. Like I said, no thank you. I want the room now.